Would you say she has been instrumental in you and I redefining our relationship?
I would say don't just start filming me without asking me
Oh my goodness.
if you could film me.
Astaire, come help us again, please. Be one another.
My social media presence is my bread and butter, okay? So you can't just use me for social media and not, don't just start I'm standing in my house.
Jada, I love you. G.I. Jane 2, can't wait to see it. All right? Uh-oh, Richard. Oh, wow. Will Smith just smacked the shit out of me.
For a long time, Will Smith felt completely untouchable. He wasn't just another movie star. He was the movie star, the safe pick, the guaranteed win. Studios threw him massive budgets without blinking because people showed up every single time. He was funny without crossing lines, emotional without being sloppy, and charming without looking like he was trying too hard. Parents trusted him, and that mattered. Kids admired him, adults respected him, and Hollywood built whole eras around his name. From Men in Black to Independence Day, from Bad Boys to The Pursuit of Happiness, Will wasn't just in hits, he was the brand. Success, family values, good vibes, all wrapped into one face. But then, things started shifting. Not all at once, not one loud moment, but slowly, piece by piece.
Keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth!
I'm going to, okay?
The image began to crack. Crack by crack, that polished image started falling apart right in front of everyone. What made Will Smith's downfall so uncomfortable wasn't just what happened, it was how fast it all flipped. One minute he was Hollywood's so-called moral compass, and the next he was a punchline, a meme, and then a headline tied to claims nobody ever thought would sit next to his name. The switch-up was wild. Things really shifted when the public got pulled way too deep into his personal life. When Jada Pinkett Smith went public about her entanglement with singer August Alsina, it wasn't just gossip, it felt humiliating. Not because relationships are simple, but because every detail played out in public, slowly turning Will into a symbol he never agreed to be. After that, the internet stopped laughing with Will Smith. It laughed at him. Memes took over timelines, clips got replayed non-stop, and every pause, smile, and side-eye was broken down frame by frame. Those red table talk moments, the stiff body language, the forced calm, all of it fed a new story that chipped away at the confident image he spent decades building. Still, even after all that, a lot of people felt sympathy for him, until the Oscars night flipped everything upside down. That slap wasn't just a bad call, it was a full-on cultural shock. Watching Will Smith walk onto that stage and hit Chris Rock live on global TV didn't look like strength at all. It looked like losing control. In one single moment, the carefully protected image he spent decades building completely collapsed. Overnight, he went from Hollywood's golden boy to someone people didn't know how to defend anymore. The excuses ran dry, the tone changed, and the support started slipping. But even that wasn't the real bottom, because just when the internet thought Will Smith had already fallen as far as possible, something heavier started moving quietly in the background. This wasn't about memes or awkward interviews anymore. This was about legal paperwork, court filings, and accusations that carried real weight. Late last year, a video quietly surfaced online that most people completely missed. It wasn't flashy, it wasn't viral, and it didn't come from a massive creator. It came from a musician named Brian King Joseph, and what he said made people stop and listen.
Earlier this year, I was hired to be a performer on a major tour with somebody who is huge in the industry.
The video came from Brian King Joseph, a professional violinist who had recently worked on Will Smith's upcoming tour project. He didn't come out swinging or chasing attention. Brian spoke carefully, choosing his words slow and measured.
Unfortunately, some things happened, and I can't get into the details of exactly what that was, because it's already a legal issue right now.
No direct names, no loud accusations, just coded language about being mistreated, feeling unsafe, and dealing with harassment while working with someone extremely powerful in the entertainment world.
Getting fired or getting blamed or shamed or threatened or anything like that simply for reporting sexual misconduct or safety threats at work is not okay.
That alone made people uneasy. At first, almost nobody noticed. Brian wasn't some massive influencer with millions of followers. Without naming names, the clip slipped through the algorithm and quietly faded out. It felt like it was going to disappear completely.
And I know that there's a lot of other people out there who have been afraid to speak up, and I understand. And if that's you, I see you.
But then, weeks later, everything shifted fast. At the start of the new year, court documents went public. Brian King Joseph officially filed a lawsuit against Will Smith and 𝗪𝗶𝗹𝗹 Studios, Smith's production company. And this time, the claims weren't vague or coded anymore. They were direct and detailed. According to the lawsuit, Brian was hired in 2024 to work on Will Smith's planned 2025 tour, and what followed was far more serious than anyone expected. Early on, Brian claimed Will started giving him an unusual level of personal attention, not professional mentoring, personal focus. Private conversations, extended one-on-one time, and repeated reassurances about how special their connection was. At first, Brian reportedly saw it as flattering. A major star showing interest in his talent felt like a big career moment, something rare, something to appreciate. But as time went on, he says that attention stopped feeling positive. According to the lawsuit, boundaries blurred fast. Brian alleges the behavior shifted from professional to uncomfortably personal, creating pressure he didn't expect. He began feeling emotionally and professionally isolated from the rest of the team, like lines were being crossed without his consent. The situation, as described in court filings, escalated during a tour stop in Las Vegas in March 2025. According to those filings, Brian returned to his hotel room, a room booked and managed by Smith's team, and immediately felt something was off. There were no signs of forced entry, nothing broken, nothing obvious, but the space looked disturbed compared to earlier that day. Most concerning, Brian's bag, the one holding his room key, had reportedly gone missing while under the supervision of tour management, raising serious questions about how that could happen.
You see the hundreds of celebrities that I've done business with, done things with. And during the latter years of our relationship, Will was not my friend. I was his friend.
Inside the room, Brian says he found things that immediately unsettled him. Personal items that did not belong to him at all. According to the lawsuit, there was a red backpack, wipes, a beer bottle, hospital discharge papers with another person's name, and a bottle of HIV medication labeled for someone else. None of it made sense, and none of it was his. The situation felt alarming fast. Then there was the note, handwritten and addressed directly to him by name. It read, "Brian, I'll be back no later than 5:30, just us," with a heart drawn underneath. Brian says he interpreted that message as a direct threat, not romantic, not casual, but a signal that something was being expected of him without his consent. That moment, according to filings, pushed everything into panic mode. Brian immediately contacted hotel security, a local non-emergency police line, and representatives connected to Will Smith. Security footage was reviewed, and according to the lawsuit, it showed no signs of an outside intruder. Instead, it allegedly showed members of Smith's management team entering and exiting Brian's room throughout the day. Not strangers, insiders. When Brian raised serious concerns with management, he claims the response wasn't support or protection. He says it was dismissal, leaving him feeling ignored, exposed, and unsafe. Brian says that after raising concerns, everything turned against him fast. He claims he was publicly accused of lying, quietly shamed, and then informed that the tour was moving in a different direction. Shortly after that, he was fired and replaced. In his lawsuit, Brian alleges this wasn't random timing. He claims it was retaliation, part of a pattern meant to test boundaries, apply pressure, and ultimately discard him once he refused to go along with expectations he never agreed to. According to Brian, the emotional fallout was serious. He says the experience left him dealing with anxiety, trauma, and long-term psychological harm. In response, Will Smith's legal team issued a firm denial, calling the allegations false, reckless, and baseless. They've stated they plan to aggressively defend against all claims, and for now, that's where the legal process stands. But this lawsuit doesn't exist in isolation. It's sparking wider conversations. People are beginning to talk more openly about patterns that feel familiar, patterns involving power, access, silence, and control. Some say it reflects an unspoken system operating behind Hollywood's polished image. Long-standing rumors that once felt distant are now being re-examined, especially now that this lawsuit is public and forcing uncomfortable questions into the open.
I'm still dealing with foolishness.
Because she don't just...
The internet did what it always does when a powerful name gets tied to serious allegations. It started digging. And that's when people realized this story didn't stand alone. Brian King Joseph's accusations didn't feel random or isolated. They felt familiar, uncomfortably familiar, especially to anyone who's been paying attention to what's been unfolding across Hollywood over the past few years. The comparison people jumped to almost immediately was the situation involving Sean Diddy Combs. Not because the cases are the same, they're not, but because the patterns looked eerily similar. In both situations, there's a powerful industry figure, there's a younger creative pulled into their orbit with promises of opportunity, access, and growth. Then come the private settings, the blurred boundaries, the quiet pressure. And when something goes wrong, silence, denial, sudden removal. That's why Brian's lawsuit landed heavier than many expected. According to his filing, what he experienced wasn't just inappropriate behavior. He describes it as grooming, slow, intentional, and psychological. The kind that doesn't begin with threats, but with validation, praise, and making someone feel chosen. That detail alone made a lot of people stop scrolling and start paying attention. That feeling of being chosen matters because grooming rarely looks the way people expect. It doesn't start with aggression or chaos. It starts with trust building. It looks like mentorship. It sounds like, I see something special in you. And according to Brian's legal filing, that's exactly how he says it began. Quiet encouragement, personal validation, and a sense of closeness that slowly crossed the lines. Brian suggests the hotel room incident in Las Vegas wasn't an accident or some misunderstanding. He describes it as a turning point, a moment meant to test how far he would go, whether he would stay silent, comply, or push back. And when he pushed back, he claims the door slammed shut immediately. That's what unsettled so many people, because the response that followed felt familiar. Will Smith's team issued a clean denial, strong wording, no admission of wrongdoing, no acknowledgement of harm, just legal statements and lawyers stepping in fast. To be clear, allegations are not convictions, lawsuits are not proof, and nothing here has been decided in court yet. But that doesn't mean the conversation just ends. This lawsuit didn't come out of nowhere. For years, rumors have circulated around Will Smith. Rumors once brushed off as tabloid noise, but now they're being looked at differently. One of the biggest resurfaced in late 2023 when a former assistant went on record claiming he witnessed Will Smith in an intimate encounter with actor Dwayne Martin, an allegation that reignited debate and added another layer to an already intense situation. That interview spread fast, especially because it wasn't packaged like gossip or rumor. It was presented as first-hand testimony, and that made people pause. Will Smith's team responded immediately, shutting it down and calling the story fabricated. They accused the accuser of chasing money and attention. Will and Jada both publicly brushed it off as complete nonsense. But something about the response caught people's attention. Not because it was loud or aggressive, but because it felt familiar. calm, polished, confident. The kind of statement designed to shut a story down before it grows. And that's exactly why it stood out. People had heard that same tone before from other celebrities, right before much bigger consequences followed. Instead of ending the conversation, it did the opposite. People started looking back at Will Smith's rise to fame with fresh eyes, and that's when some began noticing how unusual his trajectory really was. Before Hollywood fame, Will Smith wasn't just a rapper, he was a successful rapper. And the deeper people dug, the more questions started stacking up. At one point, the Fresh Prince was everywhere. The fame was massive, the checks were coming in, and Will Smith looked unstoppable. But despite all that success, Will has openly admitted he was reckless with money. He spent fast, lived big, and didn't think long-term at all. Then the crash hit. His music career slowed down. His next album flopped, and worst of all, the IRS came knocking. Will has talked publicly about how his assets were seized, leaving him in a brutal position, famous, recognizable, but broke. In an industry built entirely on image, that kind of fall is humiliating. And that moment matters because it made him vulnerable. And in Hollywood, vulnerability usually comes with strings attached. That's when Benny Medina enters the picture. Benny wasn't just a manager, he was a kingmaker, a gatekeeper, someone with access to rooms most people never see and connections that could change lives overnight. And he took an interest in Will Smith at the exact moment Will needed saving most. Benny introduced Will to Quincy Jones, and according to Will himself, that introduction changed everything. Quincy had him audition for the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air right there at a party. No formal casting, no waiting, instant approval. Overnight, Will Smith's life flipped completely. But over the years, rumors have followed that moment like a shadow that never fully went away. Rumors have long suggested that Hollywood's biggest doors don't always open on talent alone, that favors get exchanged, that power is earned in ways that never show up in glossy interviews or award speeches. These are whispers people have heard for decades, even if no one says them out loud. To be clear, there is no proof that anything inappropriate ever happened between Will Smith and Quincy Jones. That matters. But speculation has existed for years, especially given Quincy's reputation for holding enormous influence behind the scenes. He wasn't just a producer, he was a gatekeeper, someone who could make careers appear overnight or quietly stall them just as fast. And when Benny Medina's history is added into the picture, the conversation gets heavier. Medina has faced multiple accusations of sexual misconduct over the years. One accuser filed charges in the early 2000s, but passed away before the case was resolved. Another actor, Jason Dotley, publicly accused Medina in 2008 of assault following a private gathering. Again, allegations, not convictions. But patterns matter. When the same names keep appearing in stories involving power, access, and alleged abuse, people start asking uncomfortable questions, especially when those individuals played key roles in launching some of the biggest careers in entertainment. That's when curiosity turns into concern, and silence starts feeling louder than words. That's why some critics argue Hollywood isn't just a place where bad things happen. It's a system that quietly normalizes them, a machine where survival sometimes means adapting, and adapting sometimes means becoming part of the problem. That idea is exactly why Brian King Joseph's lawsuit hit such a nerve. He isn't describing one bad night or one wrong moment. He's describing a structure, a process, a way power moves when nobody's watching. Will Smith's team denies every allegation, and legally that's where things stand right now. Nothing has been decided in court. But culturally, the damage is already unfolding. Because Will Smith was never just another celebrity. He was a symbol, positivity, success without scandal, the rare star who seemed untouched by Hollywood's darker reputation. And once that symbol cracks, people don't just question the allegations, they question everything. The The marriage, the silence, the outbursts, the sudden defensiveness. It all starts to feel less like random chaos and more like pressure leaking through the seams. So, is Will Smith guilty? We don't know. That's for the courts to decide. But one question is already hanging in the air louder than ever. Is the image that made him untouchable permanently broken?
Absolutely. And no matter how this lawsuit ends, win or lose, the way people see Will Smith has already shifted. The pedestal is gone. The automatic benefit of the doubt is gone. And in today's culture, once trust cracks like that, it rarely ever fully comes back. This isn't about canceling Will Smith. It's about accountability in industries that survive on silence and closed doors. Because if Brian King Joseph is telling the truth, then this case isn't just about one famous actor. It's about how power gets used behind the scenes, how careers can be controlled, and how many people before him may have stayed quiet because speaking up meant losing everything they worked for. That possibility alone is unsettling. And if Brian isn't telling the truth, then this lawsuit will collapse under scrutiny, exactly how the system is supposed to work. That part matters too. Either way, the conversation isn't disappearing. That's the real shift. For decades, Hollywood decided which stories were allowed to exist and which ones got buried. Now, the internet decides. So the question is simple but heavy. Is this the start of another major reckoning in entertainment, or is it a tragic collision of rumor, resentment, and a fallen icon struggling under the weight of his own image? What makes this moment different is timing. Hollywood is no longer operating behind closed doors the way it used to. Social media, court records, leaked audio, and first-hand accounts now live forever. Every statement gets archived, every denial gets replayed, and every inconsistency gets picked apart frame by frame. That kind of scrutiny didn't exist when Will Smith was first building his empire. For years, his image acted like armor, the good guy, the role model, the exception to the rule. But once that armor cracks, it stops protecting and starts raising questions. People begin asking why certain stories never surface sooner, why so many moments now feel loaded in hindsight, why silence lasted as long as it did. This isn't just about one lawsuit or one celebrity anymore. It's about how fame, power, and protection intersect, about who gets believed first, about who gets grace, and about how quickly public perception can flip when the story changes. Will Smith may still have money, influence, and supporters, but the era of him being untouchable? That's over. And whether this case fades or explodes, it marks a line in the sand, a moment where the image finally stopped being stronger than the questions. Drop your thoughts in the comments because this conversation is far from over. This story is still moving and public opinion is shifting in real time. If you're new to Fame Rant Daily, this is exactly what we do. We break down influencer and creator controversies without the PR gloss. No fake outrage, no pretending these stories don't matter. Just real talk, real context, and real accountability. If this breakdown caught your attention, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications so you don't miss what's coming next, because more details always surface when the pressure stays on. This situation is still unfolding, and we'll be watching every move, every filing, and every response closely. Stay locked in, stay informed, and I'll see you in the next one.